fastest mile ever in 1863. I would have been running away from the Civil War.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon Tony. The first brothel of love dolls just opened in Germany.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Second, I had the basement redone 6 months ago.
Okay, you know the big headline here is,
what?
You got a house in Germany too?
No,
Are you kidding me?
No, but I have industrial espionage people in Germany who told me that they were going to open this, and so I had everything sent over.
Oh, I see.
I had it Amazon Prime. Is that what the kids use?
So much for making that next house, that one next door to you, a treehouse for boys. So much for that.
The little house. Todd. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Yankees are rolling, the Sixers are sexy, and Chandler Parsons is hearing it. But we begin today with the Chicago Cubs clinging to faint hopes in the NLCS thanks to their 3-2 victory over the Dodgers last night. The Cubs have to win 3 more in a row, but at least they play at home tonight. The Dodgers throw in their ace, Clayton Kershaw. Wilbon, if the Cubs beat Kershaw, will you give them a real chance to win the series?
Yes, and I think the Cubs have a real chance to beat Kershaw. We just did it last year in Game 6, Tony. Now, it wasn't an elimination game for the Cubs, but it was for the Dodgers.
Right.
And the Cubs got to Clayton Kershaw in 5 innings. They got to him with 5 runs, 4 of them earned, 7 hits. Get out of here. Nah. Goodbye. That's a Southside reference. Tony, they can get to Kershaw. It's not going to be easy. And it won't be probably 5 runs or 4 earned. It's going to be lower scoring than that. But the Cubs can get to Kershaw and send this thing back to L.A. on Saturday.
Okay, so I went to the glasses because when I heard that Kershaw was pitching, my first inclination was, why do you want to pitch him in Game 5 on the road? Why not wait to Game 6 if there's a Game 6 at home where he's more comfortable?
Full rest. He's on
then
full
I
rest
found
now.
out that Kershaw's earned run average this year, not last year, this year is better on the road. It's 203 on the road to 258 at home, and he's 9-2 at home and 9-2 on the road. So then I would think you can pitch this guy. This is a really uphill battle, Mike. We all saw the Red Sox and the Yankees, so everybody knows it's possible, but it is so unlikely.
The most uphill
so
battle.
Unlikely to get.
Yes. Tony, the most uphill. Look, last night, these games have taken months off my life. I mean, I'm sitting there, the Cubs still, the wild hacks they're taking at pitching. You're just like, oh, my God, they're so desperate. They want to get this done so badly.
Yeah.
The walks that mount up against the pitchers. Arrieta saved the Cubs season. Maybe his last time in the Cubs uniform because he's a free agent.
Mike,
the drama and the tension of it are unreal, and it's an uphill climb, as you've said, Tony.
They used Wade Davis. He may not even be able to go back to
He can't pitch tonight. He threw 48 pitches last night.
You're not going to get a bullpen between now and the weekend. You're not.
No, Tony, we just need to get a bullpen next year by spring training. I mean, a totally new bullpen. Tony, for most of my life, the New York Yankees have been the most successful, most decorated, most hated sports franchise in America. But out of nowhere, like right now, the Yankees seem downright likable. That may not last long, but surely it has to do with coming from behind to beat the Indians and from 2-0 down to take the lead against the Astros, both 100-win teams and thought to be superior to the Yankees. Tone, for one of the few times in my life, I now find myself rooting for those Yankees. You're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
What the hell is that about?
All right, I'm going to say this as a New Yorker, that I think most of the hatred is jealousy of New York, the whole notion that the Yankees, have the most money and they'll go spend the most money. But this year, the Dodgers have outspent them by $41 million, and the Red Sox are only $2 million behind them. I'm not going to say that this is a particularly likable team, but it's not a hateable team because the hateable people, like people hated Alex Rodriguez. He's not there anymore. They hated Brian McCann, the guardian of the game. He's catching for the other team right now. And you look at Aaron Judge, who's become the face of the Yankees. He seems pleasant, right?
Yeah.
He seems unhateable.
Yes. I mean, you look at the guys that they don't have. Sabathia. Judge comes quickly. A young 280-pound home run hitter in New York comes quickly. And so Judge looks like this sort of new Ruthian figure. But Sabathia, not hateable. Gary Sanchez, not hateable. I mean, they have guys on that team that you look at and you say, I sort of like them. And Tony, Yankees and underdog have never been used in the same sentence, and it is sort of now, at least until this week.
Now, people do hate Sanchez because he punched people in that scrum against Detroit, I believe it was. But Tanaka was great last night. He was at the bottom part of the plate the whole game. I don't know if they're likable, but they're no longer hateable. We could agree on
Yes.
that.
As a Mets guy, as a Mets kid, do you find yourself liking them a little bit?
No. The Washington Wizards beat the Philadelphia 76ers last night in the opener for both teams. But more important than the score was the arrival, finally, of Ben Simmons, who was the overall #1 pick in 2016, but as all Sixers draft picks do, sat out the entire season.
Red shirt.
Simmons had 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, a series of numbers matched only by Grant Hill in the last 30 years of rookie debuts. Wilbon, the Wizards won, but were you more impressed by the Sixers?
No, I'm impressed so far by Ben Simmons. That's Fultz was okay, and he's playing at home, and there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with that. He was fine. He was okay. Ben Simmons was terrific, Tony. But no, the Wizards the Wizards, because they're the Wizards and they haven't done anything essentially for 40 years, they're going to fly under the radar for a long time. But with the injury, in Boston,
right,
and the Wizards' sort of ascension last year to get to the point where they could force a Game 7
right
in Boston, the Wizards can be to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. And to me, it's their sort of obligation to do that. And with John Wall and Bradley Beal leading the way, I think the Wizards can be that. So, no, to me, it's about them, not Philadelphia, not yet, not the process.
Thank you for mentioning John Wall. I'm going to launch about that in a second. I just want to say that Embiid and Simmons actually look like they could be great. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they look like they could be great. And that's an important word to use. Not very good, but great. John Wall last night as a point guard took 28 shots.
Too many.
28 shots. He made 10. Okay, this was him. There's only one other point guard who does that, and it's Russell Westbrook.
Russ.
And this was John Wall, who craves national attention and the spotlight, saying, I'm going to be Russell Westbrook this year. He talked after the game about Wolf season starting. I think Wolf season for him is I'm going to eat the basketball. I mean, because, Mike, a point guard, nobody else on the team took more than 17.
Tony,
he can't
he'll come back. Good for him to be that excited and want to lead and understand the opportunity in front of his team. I like that about John Wall. He can dial it back. It's okay. He's not going to be Russ. He's not going to be Russ. He's not going to be that. Tony, once upon a time, Chandler Parsons was a big contributor to teams that had aspirations. You could even call him sought after. Now, Parsons struggles with all the elements of the game in Memphis, to the point where he was booed last night in the season opener by the home fans. He's upset. His teammates are upset. Parsons said, quote, it's tasteless. It makes no sense. I'll just go into every game with the mentality that it's a road game if that's how it's going to be, close quote. Tony, fans in Memphis don't have any reputation for that historically. Aren't they being ridiculously hard on Parsons?
Well, they probably wanted to boo the general manager, but the general manager wasn't out on the floor because he signed a 4-year, $95 million deal. And this is the second year of that. And last year, he averaged 6 points a game. He shot 39% from the field, and he only played in 34 games. And you know what, Mike? Those numbers are indefensible.
Yeah.
They're indefensible. Now, do I think it's too early to boo like that? Sure, I do. He called it tasteless. That's not what he should have said. He should have said, you know what? My numbers were terrible last year. I'm going to try my best to be better this year. I am grateful for the support of my teammates, and I hope to turn your boos into cheers because I'm going to get better. And he didn't say that, and he should have.
No, he should have said exactly what you said, but it is tasteless. Let me speak for a second to fandom. I mean, it's often now. You see more and more tasteless acts, whether it's just a few people in the stands or most of the arena. And it's sort of disturbing to me. I actually, in addition to being a member of the media and going to work these games and just sitting in the media section, I pay to go to games. And I take my son, my 9-year-old son, to games. And here's what I won't let him do, because I won't let him go if he does this. You don't boo people. We don't boo at home games. We don't even boo Jay Cutler. And you know how I feel about him.
You hate him.
You don't boo home players. You're there to support them. And we're not talking about some off the court thing. We're talking about performance-based reaction. It is tasteless, and the people of Memphis ought to get over themselves. Seriously.
Michael Bennett spoke after Seattle's practice yesterday. Many players who attended Tuesday's meeting with NFL owners in New York City spoke of progress, conversation, conciliation. Bennett, who was not there, spoke of Colin Kaepernick, quote, I think the first step to being able to even have a conversation is to make sure that Colin Kaepernick gets an opportunity to play in the NFL. I don't think we can work alongside of them until we address that issue, unquote. Wilbon, is this a smart move by Michael Bennett to tie the ending of any protest to Colin Kaepernick's employment?
Not only do I find it smart, I find it admirable. Right now, for one of the few times in their history, NFL players have some leverage because usually they have nothing and they get run over by replacements who can't even fill their uniforms on the way to a field. For one of the few times now, they have some leverage. It doesn't matter that he actually comes back to work, but Michael Bennett took a strong position. And you're going to make them talk about everything. Why Colin Kaepernick, including why Colin Kaepernick is not out there, and inferior people play the position right now for NFL teams. Bravo for Michael Bennett once again.
I understand why he did it. He wants to help Colin Kaepernick. He doesn't want Colin Kaepernick to be forgotten, and he admires the stand that Colin Kaepernick took. I'm not sure it's the wise thing to do right now when with so many other players we're talking about getting a seat at the table. Because if you do this, and you're an owner is going to say, wait a second, hold on a second. In other words, you're going to tell me and my general manager and my coaches how to make our own roster moves. And you're going to tell it to me in the same week that Colin Kaepernick filed a lawsuit against me and this league. So I think that they will not be inclined to do that. And I think the larger problem here is that there are 55 members on every team, and there's 32 teams. So unanimity is impossible, Mike. There's always going to be people, and I won't even say it's a rogue agenda. I think a lot of people might have this agenda,
Tony,
but it shows how hard it is to do this.
Tony, I didn't say it's possible, and he may have to back down. But you put it out there when you're in a room with them face to face. It's not the NBA where owners and players meet and talk socially all the time.
No.
It's the NFL. One more time, let me say it so people understand. Plantation mentality overwhelming. So when you get a rare occurrence in that room, if you are Michael Bennett and some of the other players that are strong-willed enough not to cower, then you lay it to them while you can. And you look at those people and say, why is that bum out there and Colin Kaepernick not? You say it and you make them answer your question. And if you have to back down, okay, it's called negotiating when you're a billionaire. It is.
I think, again, doesn't matter. Let's take a break. Coming up, should Andrew Luck get back on the field or stay off it? We will ask Steve Young.
We'll also ask him about Mark Cuban's assertion that the NFL could be in a little bit of trouble.
It's why I think Kaepernick should have gone to those meetings that day.
Too.
He was invited by players, and he filed a lawsuit, and he didn't go.
He should have, Tony, he should have voted, too, in the election.
We have breaking news. Multiple sources tell me that Week 7 of the NFL season kicks off tonight. So let's welcome in ESPN NFL analyst and Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young. Let's start with a quarterback question. If you were in Andrew Luck's shoes right now, would you be itching to play this season no matter what, or would you want to get totally healthy and try again next season?
Well, there's two parts of that personality that you have. It's immediately, Tony, you say, get on the field, because Jacoby Brissett plays well. You know, as much as success as Andrew Luck has had, you can lose your job. If you're not in the huddle, you're not in the huddle. And so there's always that urge to get out there. But Andrew Luck, if he's going to play another 10 years, he's got to get right. And he can't have, especially a throwing shoulder, can't be off a little bit because it nags him. This has been a nag him in a couple of years. Let's get this right, even if it's the complete season. For him, very important not to come back 95%. Come back 100. The Colts will wait.
Well, Steve, if you were running the team and you recently gave him a big extension, how do you make sure that he feels supported in his recovery while also planning for a future that might not revolve as much around him?
Yeah. Michael, he seems really concerned. I really appreciate that. This is the first time I've ever heard NFL management shows so much concern. I mean, who cares? It's like, in the end, it's a big boy game. And you know as a player that, you know, it's an average career of 3 years. Now, Andrew's going to play 15 if he can stay healthy, but with all-time greats if he can get the help behind him. But in the end, you know, I got to do my job no matter what the contract says. I got to be on the field. So I don't think you have to baby him. Of all the guys, he's like Monty Python. I talked this before. If you cut his legs off, he'll bite you to death. The guy is relentless. He is tough. You don't need to baby him. Get him back as soon as you can. You don't have to be careful about it. And Jacoby Brissett, if he's the future, if he can actually prove that, then make some creative tension and force some action between the two of them and make both of them better because they're together. That's great.
Fantastic. A Monty Python reference for old people. That makes me so happy. Thank you, Steve. We're going to talk about Adrian Peterson for a second, moving off quarterbacks. His performance for the Cardinals, as good as it was, should that force us to conclude, as Wilbon wants to, that New Orleans was completely mismanaging him?
No, New Orleans, look, they call plays as a festival. right? I mean, they look at the play sheet and it comes in bunches and they're all connected. And it doesn't really matter that Adrian Peterson's in the game or out of the game. They might make some concessions, but they're not going to line up and say, we're going to give Adrian Peterson 25 rushes. It's not going to happen. It might happen, but only by mistake. That's how they're going to, and that's why I thought the match was not set well. I knew it wouldn't go well in New Orleans. It wasn't meant to be in the I formation. He's in the perfect place right now. The team that desperately needs him. You saw the effect that he could have last week in the play action. And now Carson Palmer, one of the great play action quarterbacks, can say to himself, this opens up everything. And now all of a sudden the offense gets bigger and better. And now the defense doesn't have to be on the field as much. All of a sudden the Cardinals, in my mind, are tops of the NFC just because of one guy that fits what he didn't fit in New Orleans.
Tony, I just said he shouldn't have been in New Orleans in the first place. Not that he was mismanaged. I said that he never should have been there. Sean Payton, genius. What are you doing with him?
Trust Sean Payton. That's what you like to do.
Don't go get him. He's a shiny new toy. Leave him in the window. That's what I said. Now, let's go to a shiny old toy, Tom Brady. Survey of NFL players says that Tom Brady is going to be the quarterback who will win the most Super Bowls in the next 10 years. Steve, would you have him as the guy, or would you pick somebody else who's going to win the most Super Bowls for the next 10?
Michael, it kind of talks about who people think are great quarterbacks left. I mean, who's around? Why wouldn't you say Aaron Rodgers? Look, I think why people say that is it's the Patriots. Institutionally, they're ahead of the game every year by a lap and a half in a mile race. I mean, they're the guys that have figured out a way to get everybody, go against free agency, to get the consistency. And so, to me, the Patriots are going to be in the playoffs in the next 10 years a bunch of times. And if Tom Brady's there, then no question he can go do it. But why would you choose a 40-year-old quarterback? Speaks more to me about the Patriots organization and the lack of people who have faith in quarterbacks today to go win Super Bowls.
Oh, we will get you out of here on this. This question obviously written by Wilbon. It's an anti-NFL question. Mark Cuban has been pessimistic about the future of the NFL. Obviously, he is an NBA owner, but you're a businessman and an investor. How are you seeing the future of the NFL now?
Well, ratings are down for the first time ever. We always talked the demand for the NFL was inelastic. It made me frustrated because it seemed like no matter what the NFL did, it didn't matter. The demand was there. The demand seems to be slipping a little bit, and that's going to cause for a lot of concern. Look, millennials have the future of the NFL in their hands. They digest things differently. They're the first generation that's going to be fully loaded in fantasy. Like they're not tribal like the previous generations. All of us have our team. Well, they're not going to have a team. And so in my mind, that's going to slip. That's going to be more difficult for football. Then you add into CTE, what that's going to do, how are they going to get through that, concussions, how are they going to make the game more safe, yet compelling. All these things make me feel like the league is going to be under duress. Doesn't mean it's going to go away, but it's going to be challenged for the first time. And are there really smart people? What they're doing with the stand-up or sit-down for the anthem. This week, the league finally got it right. Let's figure out a way to listen. Let's figure out a way to, millennials will respond to a fair-minded ownership group, which seemed like it took place this week. So that's a good news. But in the future, look, it needs really smart people to navigate some of these choppy waters.
Wilbon, you must be thrilled to mention of millennials. You love millennials, don't you?
Tony, here's what I learned a long time ago when I was actually covering the NFL. Just believe in what Steve Young says.
Steve Young, he's right.
That's right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Pleasure.
All right, boys.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, the NFL rules on the play that brought down Alex Smith.
And the next season suddenly looks even more dreary. Tony, how's that possible?
So for people who want to know this, Wilbon has always said Steve Young's locker is the only place to go.
That's right.
He's 100% right.
That's right. Let me be more controversial.
Happy time, people. Happy 37th birthday, Jose Bautista. Joey Bats, who just 2 years ago was looking for a $150 million plus contract, is now just looking for a job. After hitting 40 home runs in 2015, he has hit only 45 home runs in 16 and 17 and batted just .203 this year. So the Blue Jays declined to exercise their option, and Bautista is on the open market.
Tony, the only non-Chicago jerseys I have in my closet, Bautista and Larry Fitzgerald. I like Bautista.
Sell the jersey, Mike.
No.
Happy anniversary, Peyton Manning. On this day 3 years ago, while with the Broncos, you broke Brett Favre's record of 508 career touchdown passes. Rumors have been swirling in Cleveland that Manning might be considering a front office job with the Browns since he was seen in that city last week. Wilbon, he's very friendly with the Haslam family through Tennessee. Do you put any stock in this?
I gotta jump to that conclusion. Maybe he's like you. He's just in town to play golf. You know, Peyton likes to tee it up. He's like you, free golf anywhere he goes.
Happy trails to Jeremy Lin. Lin is out for the season with a ruptured patella tendon in his right knee. I wonder what nasty things Kenyon Martin will say about him now. The truth is, as bad as the Nets were last year, they were significantly better with Lin on the court. Wilbon, this clearly helps the Cavaliers, who hold the Nets' unprotected 2018 first-round pick.
Oh, I hate to see that happen to Jeremy Lin. The Nets and Bulls have to be the worst teams in the East. They're going to wind up with a lot of ping pong balls, Tony.
You know, I'm looking at the NBA and opening games, and I'm thinking like the NFL, people you know, people you like, they're out for the whole season.
Well, maybe training camps and exhibition games are necessary to get yourself ready physically, and you can't cut them to nothing, maybe.
Let's go to the big finish. Gordon Hayward, one of those guys, unlikely to return this season, according to his agent. Your thoughts?
Unlikely is not definitely, and I like this video tribute. He spoke to the fans in Boston last night. I thought that was tremendous. An MRI on Draymond Green's left knee was negative. That's a good deal, right?
That's a very, very big deal. He's an absolutely essential guy there. He is the glue guy. Lonzo Ball makes his regular season debut tonight. What do you expect?
Dimes. Lonzo Ball's got a gift, passing the basketball. Hope his teammates are good enough to let him get 10 of them tonight in his debut. The NFL fined Mike Mitchell of the Steelers $48,000 for his hit on Alex Smith. Is that justified?
He's a recidivist. 48 sounds like a lot of money, but it's just money. If you hate the hit, take away the games. Don't let him play in the games. Last one, Chiefs at Raiders tonight. Who you got?
Raiders and your boy Derek Carr are struggling. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to get back on track after that loss to the Steelers, Tony.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app